part two of the air conditioning series. In this part, we're going to take the information we gathered earlier from the floor plans, and then we're going to add more information to it. We're still not quite to the point where we can take this information into our HVAC calculations program, but um, we got to gather a little more information that is not available here. So the first thing I did, I kind of changed my mind about combining the showroom and the reception, and I separated them into two separate spaces. I also added these dimensions here in these areas, although they're not necessary because we're actually not doing anything in these spaces. When somebody buys that space or rents it, they're going to divide it into offices or whatever they put in there. We'll have to come back and do all this, but I did this anyways. I added all the dimensions. Each space is 20 feet long, whatever. I also had missed some areas. And then, of course, I finished the second building. The next thing I did is I print the buildings into large sheets, and all the information is on there, all those dimensions. And then I add a little bit of extra information on there, which we'll talk about. The first thing we do is find which way the buildings are facing. So the way they're drawn here on the paper or on the sheet or on the model space, you really don't know which way they're facing in the real world because it makes a difference. If this wall is facing south, it's going to be hotter than the wall facing north. And in the mornings, the east facing elevations are going to be hotter than the west facing elevations, etc. So let's go find out how that works. What I do is I ask the architect or the client to send me a floor plan, or not a floor plan, site plan. And if that doesn't exist, then I go to Google Maps and find out where this building is going to be placed. And sometimes that's also not helpful. But somebody's got to tell me which way is north. So I have a floor plan or I have a site plan here that shows me the two buildings. This came from the client. And if you pay attention to this long building, there's the 1, 2, 3 tenant spaces, and this is our specialty floor and showroom. So what that means, and the way these are site plans created by civil engineers, has a whole bunch of information that we can pluck from here, and we can talk about it another time. So we're looking for something called the north arrow. There's different symbols for it, but what that's telling me is north is facing that way. So relative to this building, and it's hard to see it, this building sits this way, and I went ahead and drew the north arrow here facing that way. Then what that means, if that's north, that means this side of the building right here is going to be facing northeast. This side of the building here is going to be facing, what would that be, southeast. This side, the side over here, is 90 degrees from that, so the southwest, and this other side, the final side, is going to be facing, northwest. The other building is actually turned 90 degrees from that, so the orientations are not the same. So the top of the building is actually facing, just like the top of this building right here is going to be facing northeast, southeast, then we'll go over here to southwest and northwest. I put that on the floor plans by hand. It's hard to see, but I think maybe you can see there's a southwest here. There's that's upside down. Southeast, I think. It's upside down and backwards, so great. Northeast. I call this building 2, the smaller building, and then there's that's southwest, I think. Oh no, that's northwest. It goes like this. Where is it? And that's how that happens. So I put that on there. Also, because the building has office and office, the HVAC calculation program is going to freak out if you call everything office. It's got to know the difference between the offices. So as just at random for my own benefit, I called the bigger office, office 1. I called the office next to it, office 2. I put a name to the hallway because they didn't name it hallway. And then there's 2 bathrooms. I call them water closet 1, water closet 2. And then because it's part of the same project, although it's a separate building, I make the office in this smaller building office 3, and then the water closet in there water closet. 3, the storage. There wasn't storage in the other building, so we can say storage. But if the room names repeat, we're gonna have to by hand change that. So we've gathered all the information to start doing some calculations. I'm gonna stop the video here. We'll call this part 2, and I'm gonna go get going on part 3.